So it's D23 right now, and with it comes Disney announcing a bajillion things under the sun. I think I've got like 20 to 25 projects to talk about in some capacity. You can bet more than half of them are sequels, but hey, that's just modern day for you. Some of this stuff feels like a real passion project that I am so wholeheartedly happy to see. Some of it's a little bit of a classic. We're going to be covering all sorts of D23 all throughout the day and the weekend as more comes out, but at least for this first one, we're talking specifically from the Pixar segment, and even further still, since I spoke about this way more than I expected to, let's talk The Incredibles 3. So starting off on the Pixar front, hey, first things first, it's apparently the 40-year anniversary, which is very nice to see. This, of course, is including the 10 years of Pixar everyone forgets, because Toy Story 1 was only 31 years ago. But when you include that horrendous-looking baby and other tech demo stuff, yeah, it's been 40 years. Although that is still very young in the grand scheme of things. We've got a character that's 100 years old we're going to talk about later. But nonetheless, out of the Pixar branch specifically, we have 4 or 5 major announcements to cover, which considering there's usually, 2 a year coming out of these guys, it's about 2.5 years worth of stuff. That makes sense. It's D23. Why am I surprised by that? Now, modern day Pixar is in a little bit of a weird place. I still want to platform them very high since they did make some of the best animated movies of all time, but in recent years, they've had successes in sequel form, and originals have been better than they have been, but they're also not classics. It's a really interesting case, you know? I want to root for them, but they're also not where they used to be. Or at least that's kind of my stance as we go into things. Let's start with the most interesting one, shall we? The Incredibles 3. We know this thing's been in the works for ages now. Yes, it is a threequel, but if there is any series that my childhood self would want to see more of, unfortunately, this is the IP I want to see overdone. With the first movie being one of the best superhero movies of all time, and then the sequel being the classic dud of modern Disney, Incredibles 3 really is kind of the litmus test that it could go in every direction. It's got the full range behind it. And so this time, here's how things are rolling out, and I think I like what I see. First things first, we already have it confirmed that this is not going to be a time skip movie. Much like the Illumination girls, these kids are never going to grow up. I myself have even been the type of person to advocate for aging them up for a future movie to tell more things, but we do actually have a direct quote from Brad Bird earlier in the year explaining exactly why that's not a thing he's going to do. With him saying that if you lose that, you lose the archetypal aspect of it, and that is something that is important to me. In other words, they were meant to represent parts of life that you go through, and so those are family archetypes, and aging them up doesn't help that at all. People just keep thinking that aging them up is going to make them somehow hipper or cooler. I don't know if that's quite the argument, but alright. Or more like them, and it's like, no, it won't. And to be honest, after hearing that kind of take, I kind of agree with it. I think in my mind, I wanted to age them up slightly so you could tell different stories, like Violet doing more later teenage problems. But it looks like they're just gonna do it with her as she is. It fits. Even if she's only like, 13, 14? Even still, the things they are actually adapting here, I absolutely adore to see. One of the central themes of The Incredibles as a series is that split between the super and the mundane, right? It's all about classic, relatable family dynamics and issues that are then superseded under a supernatural lens. So I love the main thing they're doing next with this, in that this film is going to follow the children on a quest to prove that they can be real superheroes. Specifically, the thing they're kind of reflecting here is that the characters will be sneaking out of the house at night in order to protect the city and hiding that fact from their parents, but that is a classic, relatable thing I'm surprised we haven't seen already done by The Incredibles. Like every other family situation seems to be covered, you'd think. Dinner table, fighting over the TV remote, you know, that kind of stuff. So this, to me, sounds absolutely perfect. Even more than that is that the children are actually going to be in the leading role this time, which is everything childhood me ever wanted to see. I bloody adore Dash. Give me more of him, please. Especially since the sequel one literally did nothing or reversed them. God, what a worst case scenario. This seems like the best to me. First movie was Bob, second movie was Helen, third movie is the children. What are they going to do to Jack Jack in the fourth one? Speaking of Jack Jack, apparently they're going to extrapolate the idea of his powers being out of control by making him more out of control. Does that mean the parents are just gonna get more of the babysitting arc in this movie? Who knows? It's fine. As long as they make a lot of fun with it. And there is still some dynamics we see, like apparently Bob going through a little bit more of an identity crisis, believing that he's a little bit washed up, as modern day superheroes are now outgrowing him. Very on point with this character. It is a little Incredibles onesie, but I'd rather that than him be Incredibles twosie, you know? Hey there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more animated movie news. We're doing all sorts of D23 coverage right now, so much so I don't even know how this video's splitting. Is it a dedicated video? Is it all of one Disney branch? Whatever the case, if you're interested in more, come subscribe. Thanks for joining along. And now to the second half of this video. I think it's a unique enough spin for him to have to handle, you know, passing the baton onto the next generation. Like, that sounds really good and perfect. But yes, the idea of other supers is now being explored more, as the legal consequences of the second movie are fully impacting the story of this one, as this is now the aftermath of supes gaining legal status. In fact, I got some quotes from Pete Docter himself on stage explaining it, where he says, if you remember in the last film, supers are officially legal again thanks to this guy, Winston Dever. Now, he's an entrepreneur at heart, so Dever is launching the Superhero League. It's a heavily sponsored organization built on a massive platform of branding, marketing, and merchandising, something we really don't know about at Disney. Nice. I feel like there could have been a smarter name than the Superhero League. Maybe it would get one, but you know, I'd like a new title compared to just Justice League. I would assume the villain is part of that league somewhere to piece things together. We'll talk more about the villain in a sec. In fact, no, we'll do it now because the next quote leads up to it. A later quote from Pete says, even though supers are legal again, that doesn't mean all supers are good. Now this, ironically, is maybe my biggest hesitation. Although I also feel like I've also pitched this exact thing as what I would want for a sequel anyway, so I'm just... there's no way to win. I think it's been really interesting the way that the dynamic between normal people and supes is addressed in this universe, that we haven't had a super villain before. We've had a normal guy faking superpowers with gear, and we've had another civilian manipulating with gear. I think there's a really interesting dynamic where it's not just superheroes versus supervillains, because then you just got a Marvel movie. And the idea that even a civilian can be a big bad, I don't know, I think was an interesting dynamic to see more of. So I'm hesitant to see how this is going to play out. Maybe it's just like the glory days. And hey, I'd love the glory days again. Supers and supers. Kill someone with a cape. You think they'll do that again? Maybe. Don't know if I'd like that. But it is at least something that I feel makes it a little bit samey compared to what otherwise made it so dynamic in the past. Maybe. We'll see. Here's the design of the villain, by the way, or at least some concept art. It's an interesting one. I want to say this is a great design because you can infer what it's going for. But obviously it's only a peek. I can't quite tell what it's going for. Is this guy the Crimson Chin? Has he got a massively well-developed jawline? Or is he a Joker character with a giant evil smile? Does he have a unicorn or like a tuft of hair for his top thing? Oh, you know what else it is though, actually? That main V over his chest very much reminds me of like the Omnidroid eyes, actually. Is this blue guy from Scoob? I should know my cartoons better. Nonetheless, you know, he looks fine. Hopefully when we see more of him, he'll have more of that stark design. He does feel very Glory Daisy, which maybe is a good thing. Or it's kind of the generic thing that they were making fun of in the first movie. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, also, one other thing about this villain is they actually mentioned that this guy is stronger than the entire family combined. You got a power scale with every movie. Cool. Okay, great. Does that mean teamwork is the thing to take him down? All right. You know, it feels a little Marvel-y, but we'll see. Other concept art we have is of Bob juggling balls again. He loves doing that in the final act, except this time with his hands and not his feet. They showed off more of that Art Deco 2D wallpaper design that's animated in to see, look, there they are. Interestingly, the parents are very upfront and center for what is otherwise meant to be children are the protagonists, so maybe it's still just the whole family. I can really tell I'm aging because I really like the mundane reflections. I love, oh wow, the kids are sneaking out at night, not telling their parents. And I'm less like, oh cool, villain. Power man. You then also got this 3D one with a set of PNGs that'll be sure to be plastered on cereals and every other merchandising brand everywhere. Hey, I guess if there is like a superhero league, Frozone's there. Is it going to be that the kids are pitching to get a slot on the superhero league and then they realize that there's something wrong with the superhero league while trying to like look around on the sides and then they realize the main guy is the villain but the parents don't believe him because they're part of the official superhero league? Yeah, I guess I can see the dynamics already. That's my speculative pitch. The parents keep dismissing the kids because they're not real supers yet. They don't really know how the world works. And then turns out they do. Beyond that, we then got a nice piece of some of the behind the scenes. Edna Mode pops up live to interrupt Pete Docter as he tries to describe the villain. We know all of the actors are returning for the family roles. Peter Sohn is the one directing this one, the guy who made Good Dinosaur and Elemental rather than Brad Bird, though he is still actually at the helm writing it, otherwise choosing to direct Project Raygun in the future, and all of it releasing June 16th, 2028. I've got to update my calendar. So overall, I think I'm quite positive on this project particularly. I think a lot of lessons probably were learned from The Incredibles 2, and there's still a lot of potential bouncing off of The Incredibles 1. There are places I can see the faintest of red flags, even though it's incredibly early doors, so what do I know? But if they can keep that core of the mundane, whilst not over-relying too much on The Incredibles 1, I think I'll have a damn good time with it. Even if it is another sequel, it is my favorite Pixar IP, so maybe I'll give them a pass. Well, I've certainly talked about that a whole lot longer than I intended to, so maybe this will be a dedicated video. We got plenty more D23 coverage that I'm going to work on straight after this. But at least on that note, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell us your thoughts on The Incredibles 3. You more hesitant on this? You see any red flags? You don't want to see another sequel from Pixar? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more. But otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!